Okay, let's go live with my my guide to planet Earth, my guru for everything nature, Ra of Earth, and we had such a good time with Ra at Joshua Tree, and we stayed with them the whole time there too. It was fantastic. So here we go. This is gonna be fun. Hey, Ra,
Gary,
how's it going?
good.
Are you
How you doing?
settling in from Joshua Tree?
I am back in it.
Back in it.
Back in the city,
So
yeah.
what did you take away from Joshua Tree?
What did I take away from it? I just love always being around your guys' energy and your guys' ability to serve as a team. You guys are all on the same page. And for me, that's really inspiring because I'm sort of on the similar mission, and it's just good to see a whole team of people working together to, help out people and for the cause.
Well, you're part of our team. You were there with us the whole time, so
I guess
you're
that's
actually
another
part of the
perspective.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a paradigm shift for me. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing it yourself for so many years. I mean, you've been running gyms, doing CrossFit, working and helping people build businesses and freedom from finances. You've been sharing your information online for everybody in every way on spirituality, on health, on consciousness.
Yeah, you know what thank you for that. And yeah, it's when you're on point when it's the only thing you can think about, right? And so it's just my hope that people find that. Everybody finds that, because there's a spot in this world for all of us, and we're most powerful when we are on purpose and in alignment. There was also another sort of light bulb moment when I was around you guys, and it was my wife, who's a Pisces, and there were so many Pisces there too, right?
We were like inundated with fish. We could have had a state stocked lake there with all of the Pisces.
Yeah. So I said something that she said, and all the other partners of Pisces were like, "Oh yeah, my girlfriend, my wife does that too." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And it was Carol said, "Wake me up if I'm missing anything."
I remember that.
Yeah, so she always feels like she's missing out. She always wants to go with me places. And for me, I just kind of thought it was her, And then I walked up and she was sleeping, and I just casually mentioned, like, "Hey, she said to wake her up if anything exciting happens." And then all the other Pisces were like, "Yeah, I do that too." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I went home, and our dog is also a Pisces. And he follows us everywhere. He'll be sleeping. If we walk to the other room, he wants to go. And so I was like, oh, it's not just her. Like, it is her attribute, but it also just allowed me to see some of the mechanics behind how she operates and just how powerful astrology is.
The astrology is just, like when I look at that chart, the astro chart, it has a bunch of numbers. Each one of those numbers has a value and a meaning specifically to how we think, how we process, how we stop and start things, what guides us, how our emotions are, how we have relationships, etc. And so that just tells us how, when this energy on the earth, like right now, we're in step 0, moving to step 1 Scorpio. It's all about boundaries, and it's about the past and the present and the future, where we're going, and ending old patterns and habits and seeing them right now, like seeing the actual truth and setting boundaries. Well, a Pisces is just a different version of handling that energy than a Sagittarius or a Libra, which you are.
It's crazy because I studied psychology in school. It's what I went to university for, psychology and exercise science. But this doesn't come up at all. Like, everything has sort of like a program that we learned when we were younger, but the flavor of how we interpret the world, astrologically speaking, or any, if you look into human design or any of them, none of that comes up in psychological literature. It's just not even acknowledged at all.
Well, this goes back to, okay, the reason, I mean, there has been an attempt to do this because then we would understand the world and we wouldn't be controllable. So, I mean, it goes right down to the calendar we live in. The reason why we don't see the patterns is because the Gregorian calendar and the astrological calendar is true every year, the same thing. The Gregorian calendar, because the leap year, goes up to 3 days each way. So I don't feel the same energy on the same day every year. Otherwise, I would have the same response. And I go, oh, last year on this day, I did exactly this. I felt this way. But because it's slightly different, we never connect it.
Right, because we're good at pattern recognition, but everything's skewed a little bit, so it prevents us from noticing the patterns.
You know a lot about that, by the way, right? About the calendar being changed?
Yeah, with Julius Caesar and August as well. And if it makes perfect sense, if you have a month, right? A month is 4 cycles of 7. And that's the lunar cycle, and we call it a month because it's a month, right? And that's really what we should be on. And we could have a certain amount of those, 13 of them within a year. But I'm unclear on how, if there's 13 months in 364 days, and then I think that's another day for like a reset day. 28 times 13, I believe, is 364, 361 or something. It's right around there. And then, but then how was there only 11 months and then we add 2?
What? So say that again. How does there only?
Yeah, I didn't really ask a question properly there. So 28 times 13 is 364. So we should actually,
with
in
1 day of transition,
right?
165, yes.
So that should
by the
be
way,
our calendar, right?
Yeah. So linking that to the human biology is a female. We live in a container of feminine energy. So the female energy is 28 days. It's the moon cycle, and all women used to have their cycle at the same time, but because of individual and what that would change where they are in this realm of Earth, but they would have their cycle at the same time. And men have a cycle too, but we have a cycle that experiences in our thoughts and our perceptions. They experience it viscerally in their body. And it's also the human habituation cycle, is 28 days. That's why we go to rehab to get a break in addiction in our body for 28 days. But the human perception cycle is 3 days. That's if we're psychotic. That's why when we have a 5150 or we're on a psychotic hold, it's 3 days, which is also, it's a moon cycle plus a couple hours, which is 54 hours.
So where'd the months go? And and what about the the 13, that instead of 12 zodiacs, there should be 13, right?
Yeah, well, there's the other one is the observation of it. It's like when you look at the 12 disciples eating dinner, there's 12 disciples, but there's Jesus here. He's the observation of it, right? So what it is these are all references to the human anatomy. We have 12 organs in our body. We have 10 inside the fascia and the skin. So the next one is our ability, our neocortex, which and our third eye, which triangulate together with our ability to perceive or stand outside of ourselves. So it's the observation, and then that comes down to the I am that I am, which is we're in the third dimension. That means there's 3 beams of light that allows us to see, literally, third dimension. Because there's darkness, there's a beam, that doesn't mean much. Another one, and then another one that crosses, and those 3 beams of light allow us a container in which we can see our reality. So in the third dimension, we have the ability to, and again, it's 3, which is 3 is the planet Jupiter. Which is our story repeating, which happens every 12 years. So your story repeats every 12 years. 12 years ago from today, 2011, you were doing something very similar in your life. We talked about this. You're selling your gym. You were moving onto a new way of living, and you've just done that. You've got out of your house, you're living in Airbnbs, so it's the same story repeating. And there's 4. Well, the I am that I am is a beam of light is I. But when you cap it, you're capping infinity, because that light goes for infinity in the darkness. And then when you say I as a little human, you put I with a little dot on it, which is a symbol for a human. It's a head on top of it. So I am that I am is EYE, and your name is Ra, which is of the sun of the god, the eye of Horus. Mm-hmm. So you're literally to bring the eye of observation. That's the name that you have, that you chose. It's Ra of Earth, which is the eye of Horus, which is the sun god, as we were talking about. You said in the video today, I am the sun. I'm bringing it in. You are. You literally are. And you're the Libra, which brings balance to it. So it's I am that I am, EYE. I'm observing the am, which is my humanity. And if it's I am that I am is a brain precept, which means that I am control, I'm everything, and I am separate from my creator, which creates fear, and loneliness and separation.
There is a reason for that, though, right? We are here to experience the separateness, to build the foundation of autonomy and individualness. But that's only so that we can come back into the collective and be a strong individual unit. We have to know ourself, our I am, so that we can contribute to the whole. That's the whole reason for life and our experience as individuals here, this perspective of us being an individual.
Yes. Yeah, the I am that I am. So the I am that I am statement, I am peace, I am love, I am joy, that's all from the lower chakra. That's what we got everybody tricked into. All the peace, love, and light people are like, I am that I am love, I am joy. You go to Cafe Gratitude, I am deserving, I am joy. And they're speaking from the lower chakra. But I love is speaking from my heart chakra. I speak what I want. I perceive what I want. I am what I want. Is all from the higher chakras. So we're even categorized and controlled by which we speak, because our vibration of our words creates frequency, which creates a response from the universe.
There's also so back to the planets or the calendar. The days of the week are all associated with chakras, right? Because there's 7 days of the week. And then the 7 planetary bodies, right? Sunday's the sun, Monday's moon, Tuesday is Jupiter, Wednesday's Mercury, Thursday might be Jupiter. Anyways, you can I usually translate it to Spanish, and then the Spanish will tell me what.
And also look at the chakras. We have the heart, and we have 3 chakras below and 3 above.
Right.
7.
Right.
And 3 is the 3rd dimension, which is the planet Jupiter, which is our belief in our story. And look at our body. 1, 2, 3 joints. 1, 2, 3 joints. 1, 2, 3 joints. Everything that lets us be in this world is in 3s to exist. But that's a triangle. But if you want to move a triangle, you have to take 1 point out, and now it's a line. So everything that moves me is in 2s. 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 ankles, 2 knees, 2 hips, 2 shoulders, 2 ears, 2 eyes. These are things that move us. 2 nose, nostrils. And then 2 lungs to breathe, right? These are all the things. 2 kidneys to drive us, to give us the energy. But then everything that directs our movement is 1. 1 brain, but 2 sides. 1 heart, but 2 sides. 1 liver, but 2 sides. 1 bladder, but 2 sides. Those are all the directives, the fear, the desire, the thought that connects it all, the life that makes it happen, the energy that brings it in. So the human body is a perfect cipher for the world. And so this is how I went about fascial maneuvers, is I know the human body by these numbers. I connected these numbers to the planets and the organs. And then all of a sudden it started to open up, and I'm like, oh, since I know the body so well, that's my cipher. I don't have to know anything else anymore. I just have to know my cipher really well, and then I can decode any message.
3 is what's placing us here. And according to the teachings of Ra, not me, but
Yeah, the teachings of Ra. You're here as
yeah,
Ra.
yeah. I mean, according to Ra, we are one. That's why it's called the law of one.
Yeah.
So
You
I like it's
are
a
Ra.
lot.
You. I mean, in all embodiments,
I know that.
you are the embodiment of Ra. Like when I'm with you, I feel the energy of Ra. Literally, that's why you chose it.
Right. People don't like to hear that, so I like to take the perspective of Ra is me, or God, you know, God is us, as opposed to I am God,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah. First,
it's easier for people to hear that.
well, see, if I say I am God, EYE, I'm observing the God in me.
Right.
But if I say I am God is the deviation of text. I am that I am, and all the spiritual text was they took the word EYE out and replaced it with an I so that we would become narcissistic and disconnected. Because I think that I have an aura. That's not true. There's a ball of energy that's part of my human experience, and there's the only part of it I see. I mean, dogs see it, animals see it, and all that. They see the aura, but only thing I see is that dense, stubby, lethargic human part of me. But the truth is, I don't have an aura. An aura has me.
Mm-hmm. We're not a drop in the ocean. We're an ocean in the drop, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. And there's so much that we don't have perception of, but that gives us our human experience, including like time not being linear versus the way that we experience it, which is linear.
So let me give you an example of that. So, Rod, do you remember the first time you kissed a girl?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it night or day?
Night.
Okay. Was it summer or winter, or was it cold out or hot out?
It was like a normal day, no snow or anything. So nighttime, okay. Good weather. Yeah, we can.
How old were you?
17.
How do you know you're 17?
Because it was senior year of high school, and
okay, so basically you have an experience which is an emotion, and you're remembering it. Members, if you take a body apart, we're dismembering it. So you're remembering, you're putting it back from all the different pieces. I felt it in my heart. I felt it in my chest was going. My lips were, so I'm remembering the experience, but that remembering has no association to time. So I go back to an artificial construct of time, which was, I was my senior year. My senior year, I had 12 years of school. I started at 5, I was 17. So I was 17. So that's how you tell me the time. You attach time to the experience. So basically we have an experience and time flows through the experience.
Time flows through the experience.
Because it's an artificial construct. And then time, so experiences are going like this in a wave, ups and downs. But what we do is time is a snapshot of that. And once I snapshot it, I have to put a beginning and an end. That's a judgment. So like, am I a bad person? I had Jason say this to me once. He goes, I said to him, I've been a bad father. And this is in 2020 when I was going through all my detox and reset. And he goes, my gosh, when are you measuring that? You guys, like you're like 50 at that time, 51 years old. When are you measuring that? He says, I see you doing this with your children, coming back, making it work and all this. I said, I'm a bad father. I left them. I went away. I went to prison. I went all this. And I was judging myself. So when I put a beginning and an end, that's a judgment. And judgment in this world creates a reaction. So time itself is a judgment.
It is. I mean, memory is pretty much an illusion, right? Everything in the past, everything in the future isn't really existing now. And,
right.
And that's all just a concept that we're making up. And so all that really matters is the present state of being, our awareness of now. And we can even, according to the Mandela effect, shift the past as it's happening now.
I believe that I am doing that in my life every day, and I'm documenting the evidence to that. because we think of a past life being before I was born, which is a measurement, which is a judgment. But if time is a construct of our need, our sense, our way we've been trained to feel safe in this world is through the box of time. So that means that a past life isn't a past life, it's another life. It's another dimension. And so what I have is I have this group of 29 degrees, which are my astrology degree. And it's funny, the ones that are Sagittarius, like me, like Debbie, she's on here. It's like I go and my body changes now, and her body changes the same way. And I'm like, I'm joking with her. She goes, I don't understand. I hadn't talked to her for 2 months. I look like I've been working out. I'm getting ripped. My hair's changing color. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so then my whole thing to her is like, I'm doing my part. You got to do your part now. What can you do for me? No, but we're affecting reality constantly. And when I change myself, it's like my brother who I had a fight with all of a sudden changes his aptitude and his attitude. But that was because I changed me. I didn't worry about trying to fix it with him. I went and fixed me.
Right. And that's all feeling, emotions, thoughts, even your actions in the present moment is impacting. It's impacting your past. It's impacting your future. It's impacting other lives that you have. It's impacting your soul family, right? Like the people that are astrologically connected to you, maybe even are you. And the more deep we get into this, the layers of separation become thinner and thinner. So we're not just impacting ourselves and the people like us, but on our family. We're starting to impact the entire planet, the entire world, the entire universe. And then that's like, for me, evolution of self is the evolution of the definition of self, right? We go from thinking that I'm just this one person in this one reality traveling through linear time. I'm born, and then I die. And we start to expand that out. I'm more than just this physical body. My aura extends bigger than me. And then we start thinking about the air is me. I am the trees. I am everything that I'm eating. And we start to expand into this physical dimension. We also start to expand through time and space and other people until we're the all-seeing, you know, like we're everything, right?
I like you said, I am what I'm eating, but technically human beings are 90% bacteria, bugs, and parasites. So all they're doing is they're just waiting. They're just here. We're their food at the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
they're eating us.
Right. And even if we go into the earth after we pass, the plants are also eating us as well, because
they're raising us and letting us do all this crazy shit and hurting them some places because they're like, it's okay. We got some good food coming. We've got all these millennials out there. They're tasty. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, this concept of consumption, right? I mean, in a efficient universe, the different, like, everything would be eating itself. That's like eating is or I wouldn't even want to say eating, but the transference of energy is necessary. Whether, you know, right now most of us are using eating, but it's just all about transferring energy through different layers of consciousness. And that's what we do when we eat. But
right.
It can be done in other ways.
Hold on one second. He was singing music. Yes, sorry, somebody came by here and was literally just had the music playing, was singing opera, and I'm like, it's kind of fitting for where we're at right now.
I can't hear it, so I think we're okay.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's good because it's like all of a sudden a tenor comes by and starts singing, and I'm like, oh my god.
It was quite pretty.
But yeah, you know, it's the idea of what are we consuming, and then we think consuming, like, you know, even from a practical sense, like if I wouldn't put it in my mouth and consume it, I shouldn't even put it on my skin because my skin is still consuming. But even further than that is that all of those things cause a hormonal reaction, which is our experience. So that means if I consume stuff with my eyes and my ears, that also causes a hormonal reaction, which changes my experience. My consumption changes who I am or who I experience or how I express. So this is why I learned from you. to go back into nature, because I was a city boy. I mean, in every aspect, I was a city boy, city boy, city boy. But I've been watching you for years, and I remember I told you the other day. I remember exactly the time where I got it, and that's when I sent you that video. It said, "Ra, this is for you," because I've been climbing in nature, took my shoes off, started moving through waterfalls and stuff like that, and like I get it now. I get it. That's what it is, and that was what that's part of what you imparted to me and changed my life.
You know, nature is an education on its own. We're used to watching television, right? And it's very easy to get an experience when you're watching television or even reading a book. It's almost catered for you. The feelings, the thoughts, the visuals, the audio, it's all catered for you. It's given to you. It's very passive. You just kind of sit back on a couch like you're in the Matrix, you know, in one of those bubble things. You're literally just plugged in to the program. When you go into nature, all of that must be done on your own. You get to look at a tree and essentially tell yourself whatever story to extract the tree, to extract the energy of the tree. You can start imagining or telling yourself the story about how this tree is made up of light, earth, air, water, and the journey that all of that came to build the tree. But there's so much to learn when you go into the world as it's designed, but you have to do it all on your own. You know, like you don't, it's not a passive thing. Actively, you get to contemplate on nature, and that's like a main thing in the Eastern, right? Is like contemplation.
And you do get to do it in real time, unscripted.
Right.
That's the thing, because otherwise the scripting of it, you will see this is your experience, look for this, the sun will rise like this. If you tell me that, that's all I'm going to experience. I'm going to experience what you said. But if you sit me out there and just say, tell me what you experienced, draw it, share it, write with it, explain it afterwards, then every person gets their own experience, and then they can contribute to the whole.
And that is human, right? Like this passive consumption of entertainment is really dulling to our education, to our creativity, to our inspiration. And we can really reset that with a habit of just literally going outside and finding a plant, finding a bare piece of earth, going into a body of water. All of that is instantly available for us, and it's just something that I encourage and invite everybody to do, because it's a different experience every single time. Like you said, moment by moment, it's what's going on in your life interpreted through the lens of nature. You get that reflection.
They say that we were designed to be outside 85% of the time, but we spend 90% of our time inside.
Air conditioned, heated, perfectly aligned corners and steps that are perfectly designed for the length of your foot and the gait of your legs. And there's just no thinking. Again, it's just straight up passive zombie land, which is what civilization is. We're a shadow of ourself indoors.
So we've talked about the universe, the planets. We've brought it down into the body. We've talked about nature. So what about practical ways? I mean, a lot of times, this is what I find, is a lot of people talk about this stuff, and they pontificate. They're talking heads, but I find most of them don't live the life that you do, or the life I'm starting to live. I'm not where you are literally. I mean, I am in nature a lot, but I'm learning every day. So what are practical things that people do on a daily basis to bring into their reality these experiences?
You would be surprised with how many people do not know how to walk on their feet. I was on a trail the other day, and two people were there. I was walking barefoot. They had their shoes on, and I overheard their discussion. And one of them said that she doesn't even walk barefoot at her house. She always has shoes on even at our house. They only take their shoes off when they go to sleep.
Yes.
And everything starts at the feet. We stand from there. That is our foundation. And so I know this isn't like a magical, mystical thing, but making sure that you take your feet off and start feeling yourself on your feet is going to make a huge difference. And when you start going out into nature, if you can start doing that without shoes, you're going to start feeling the environment and eventually start tasting the environment and even start feeling your toes, right? Like, what is your pinky toe doing when you're taking steps? Where do we have different arches on our feet, right? And how do we protect our feet so that we're not injuring ourselves or flattening our feet or getting blisters? This is a whole exercise in its own, is just being barefoot. And there's tremendous benefits, obviously, that come along with it too, right? Like, I'm not even mentioning earthing or anything like that, but
Just feet, yeah. Hey, listen, I was a guy, by the way. I lived in homes where I specially designed them to wear shoes in, had them cleaned properly. I wear shoes basically from morning to night. And so I'm coming from that world. And today, what's ironic is I put shoes on. The only time I put shoes on is to travel. And even then, throughout the travel, I'm not. Like, I'm on an airplane, I don't have my shoes on. People are like, oh, that's gross. Wait, step. And I'm like, my feet, I'm squatting in my chair on an airplane seat anyway. So, but I literally, I walk around here all day long. I haven't worn shoes in 4 years. I like literally for less than 1% of my day.
And it's super important if anybody out there has children, because I mean, Garry will tell you, like, this is the start of their nerves, their fascia, their muscles. Everything comes up from the roots of our body. And if their shoes are in cages and they're being squished, then again, you're going to have a shadow of a human that grows out of that.
So here's one. Debbie Griffiths, one of my twins, by the way, I was talking about here. She's a 29 degree Sag, and she says, I wear shoes because I have scorpions in my house. And I'm like, okay, so I hear you, Debbie. But I'll give you an example that I have experienced in my path into nature. I'm the guy who 9 times out of 10, I'm the guy who at a dinner table, if we're outside, is getting bitten by mosquitoes. I used to be anyways. And everybody else is okay. And I'm the guy that and I used to think it's the carbon dioxide, it's all this, it's what I ate. I've tried everything over the years. I rubbed vanilla on me. I put all kinds of, I've done everything. And I was the guy that got bit. Now we're at Maya Khan. I didn't get bit once. And not even once. And I believe that nature is there to reflect to us, including if we get a bite. Because what I noticed in Maya Khan is people that were, like, especially that were dealing with gallbladder resentment issues, were all getting bitten on the gallbladder. So nature was actually attacking them on the exact meridian that they had something to deal with.
Garry is telling the truth here. I was getting eaten up. Everybody was getting eaten up by mosquitoes. There was one night where we were sitting around a fire and we were doing like a drum circle thing, and everybody was covering themselves with the Mexican blankets because they're really thick and the mosquitoes couldn't penetrate them. And Garry was just sitting there with shorts, no shirt on. And I'm talking, like, if you took the blanket off for 5 seconds, there would be like 20 mosquitoes on you. And Garry was just sitting there with no shirt on for well over an hour. It was very, very impressive.
So this is from a guy who's never been in nature, but so here's my belief system, is that our emotions, they emote energy, and our emotions are trapped in our fascia, or flow through our fascia, which flows through what we say are meridians. I don't see it that way, but generally meridians are true. Like, this is large intestine, but it's not the full truth. And if that emotion, what I've been doing over the last 4 years, or 5 years technically, as I was coming in, as I discovered this new way of working with fascia, is I've been purging emotions. And then, so in other words, like somebody said here, bugs are acupuncturists. I agree. They bite you. Like, for example, when I got bit by the bee, stung by the bee, we had just done,
a week ago.
work on my heart meridian, opening it up. No, we did it while we were on the live. So,
Yeah.
So what it is, I got bit by the bee, but that next day when you were helping me with my shoulder, that was opening up my heart meridian, which is all heart. So that was allowing my heart meridian that on the left side that hasn't been able to open, allowed it to open, but I got bit by a bee right there on my heart meridian.
Oh, I wish Kara was here. I'm not sure. Are you here?
She's
I think she left.
She's in the chat.
But she is like super amazed that she's been dealing with this rib thing for months, or maybe I would even say years.
Years. You're talking
almost,
decades for her.
Yeah. And within her, her 5 minutes, she's like, how can this be? How is it that I'm not feeling the pain anymore? So
somebody asked, by the way, so how come you weren't getting bit? I guess I didn't finish it. It's because I've been processing emotions. And that's also why I'm getting taller, my fascia is getting open, I look younger. Our body is 70% water, 25% silica, which is sand, 5% bacteria, viruses, and everything like that. And what that means is that we're a liquid crystal. Hey! So,
look at the dogs with her too.
Talk about your experience.
We got two
That's
Pisces
really
in
good
here.
One.
Come on.
Okay, first of all, so people don't know you yet, and our group, your group does, but your name, your birthday, so they get a reference point.
Yes, my name is Carolina Teasdale. I'm a double Pisces, and I have a lot of zeros in my chart.
And a bunch of Aries.
A bunch of Aries, a bunch of fire. A rising in Leo, so thank goodness for the water. Otherwise, I'll be lit on fire right now.
So what was your experience? I mean, you had that issue in your rib, and it was on your right side. And you're also a tennis player competitively. So that's an area that gets launched on, gets tightened up naturally.
Yes, I've been experiencing this pain for a while, and I had no idea that it could be related to my emotions, because I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I don't have any traumas in my body, right? And I know there's a lot of us here that think that we're perfect and there's nothing wrong with us. And I bottle everything inside my body. I had to learn how to say no, because I always kept saying yes. And then I resented myself for saying yes and putting myself through all this hard work. And when you started doing the maneuvers, so I talked to Aisha, and I was like, Aisha, I have this pain. And she's like, you need to talk to Garry. And then I saw Ra, you were working on Ra, and I was like, okay, Ra has no problem receiving help and love. And I'm here holding on to this pain. So I said, okay, I'm next. I want to get this pain out of my body. That was the intention for me going to Joshua Tree. And when you started working on it, I literally felt a pop. I don't know how to describe it, but I felt a pop, like something just got out of my body.
Right in here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no bones there.
And the crazy thing is that I was in my period, but when I got to Joshua Tree, my period was done, not even a drop. And after the maneuver, my period started flowing again for 3 more days. Yeah. So whatever stagnation I had of energy in that spot, it was able to come out, and my period started flowing, and I started feeling better. I've been doing the maneuvers every day, and yesterday I started working on the area. I did the same thing that you did to me, and it's a little tender right now, which means that there's still stuff coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my Power Kirk, I'm taking the supplements, and yeah, spiritually I feel that I am a different person, like you said at the park.
So what does that actually mean for someone who has never actually gone through that experience? I mean, what is spiritually I'm a different person? How does that show up in your life? Like, what does it mean?
It shows up in a way that I feel lighter. Mm-hmm. I feel more relaxed. I feel that I am in control. I feel that I'm unstoppable. And after you read my chart, I got validation of all these doubts that I had in my life of my power. And ever since I saw you, I started a course. I'm like monster production, and I feel all this fire, and I feel this strong belief that I can do anything that I want. And before, because I had all this shame and all this resentment and all this anger, because it really is, it wasn't even anger at other people, it was anger at myself for not being in my power, for not doing the things that I want to do. And when that just got unlocked within my body, I feel this sense of freedom. Ra and I have been super productive this last couple of days. It feels like Joshua Tree was a transformational pivot in our life that allows us to now, there's so much abundance that have come to us ever since this past weekend.
It was manifesting a new relationship with your life, with everything you're doing, but it's not, and I like to take credit for it, but I've been watching you for years. You have been on this journey. All I was doing was, like, at the end, like, pushing you off the edge, because you've already been on this journey of self-discovery. You've been cleaning your environment. You've been taking care of your physical body. You've been working on your mental and emotional process for all this time. And so when people, they'll come up and they'll say, quite often, they won't do anything. They'll say, give me an experience. And I'm like, no, I'm not the experience maker. I mean, I'm just here. I'm the guy, like, when you go bungee jumping, I'm the guy at the end that says, you can't jump. I'm this guy that says that.
Yeah, all of us, we buy toilet paper. As soon as we're running out of toilet paper, we buy more toilet paper. When we're out of toothpaste, we can't be out of toothpaste. But we don't treat the inside of the body with the same level of respect as cleaning the outside, cleaning the inside. And what we're doing with these maneuvers and the energy work and really understanding more of a true essence through our astrology, through our numbers. I'm fascinated with numbers and astrology and geometry. That's why I became an architect. I've been doing this my whole life. And once we tapped into really learning a little bit more about ourselves, we get into that power, because clarity is power.
Yes.
Tony Robbins talks about this. The more clear that you become with the things that you want and how you want to feel and how do you want the relation. Like, when I attracted Ra, I created a vision board, and I actually put Jason Momoa. I put in, like, Aquaman, and I said, Ra doesn't have long hair right now. He has short hair, but I said, I want to attract somebody with, like, long hair that looks this way, that makes me feel this way, that I feel secure, that I feel worship, that I feel like a goddess, that I feel honored, that I feel respected. And I really focus on how I wanted my perfect relationship to feel. And then boom, Ra just walked out of my vision board. But it really is getting into that clarity. And that's what I got of this weekend. I got so much clarity of where I want to go and how I want to feel.
What was it?
That was the most important
What was it
thing.
like watching Ra in front of hundreds and hundreds of people doing his thing?
I feel so proud of him. I was crying already. I was like a complete mess. I've seen all these people in line so vulnerable, because being vulnerable, it's one of the hardest things to do, especially speaking in public in a microphone and, like, sharing, I have this pain right here and I have this trauma in front of 400 people. I was crying. I was so overwhelmed, and I was like, it's my double Pisces, right? I'm always crying. I see a bee and I'm crying. I'm always, like, so emotional. And when I saw Ra leading these people, and I took a picture of him from the back with, like, raising his hands and, like, everybody behind, and I was like, wow, I'm so proud of him, because I've seen him from the beginning. I've known her for, like, 10 years at his gym, and I've seen the different avatars that he has become.
Oh, I didn't catch that. You've known him for 10 years? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. That's
Maybe probably like 11.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, then 11's perfect, because 11 is I embody the experience.
Yeah, we've been through a long journey together, and he has grown so much. I mean, when I met him, he had a mohawk and he wore his ripped jeans every day. He was even mean back then.
Yeah. That was what I was known for, was just being like the mean gym owner.
That was those mean streets,
Yeah, but that's as a Libra, you have to experience both sides of that, of compassion. Like, you're very compassionate, and I watch you two together. Ra, you're super compassionate. There's sometimes I'm just like, whoa, you have a lot of patience and a lot of compassion, and I'm all this fire in me. I'm like, I'll just put my head right through that wall.
Yeah,
that's how she is too.
Yeah, yeah, and Carolina, this is like one of the things that I noticed about you is that first of all, the emotional capacity to receive all and then transmute it. Like you take all the emotion and transmute it right away into something. And it's amazing to watch you do that. It really is.
Thank you. I think like my best jobs have come when I'm so emotional. And for the last 10 years, because I work through so much resentment and anger, I don't know if it's part of my Italian background. I'm Sicilian, so I've carried all this anger inside of me that is not even mine. It's just anger from generations and generations that I have to deal with. And obviously I have to deal with it because I'm powerful enough to end it in this lifetime. And my best work has ever come from an emotional place. I have to be in love or in pain, and that's when I've created the best art pieces that I've ever done, from material things to physical relationships. It's come from that deep space. So it is essential for me to be in spaces that create a lot of emotion, because that's where I get the inspiration.
It's crazy because you have so much mastery in your chart, but your mastery is directed in a way that you're here to experience it, not here to like, you're not on the court necessarily having to play every moment, even though you do. You're here to experience all of the stuff that you've acquired. And that's what's even more beautiful. It's the observation of the beauty of what you can do. Thank
you. Thank you. That's awesome that you can see that. You're like a magician. You can see through people. And I love that. It's such an honor to be in your presence. Yeah. And be part of this insane, amazing movement that you created. I mean, as soon as I got back from Joshua Tree, I made a vision board and I put a picture of the team. You gotta share your snapshot of the vision board.
Oh yeah, you guys are on her vision board.
Yeah, you're my vision board. You're like the biggest part of my vision board. And I presented it in front of a company meeting with like a lot of hundreds of people in there, and I was like, yay, human garage.
Well, like I said, you are an important part of what we're doing, because and Ra, I keep saying this, I mean, you fundamentally have studied the connection to this earth and what that means. And that's what, I mean, as much as I can fix and help people fix their body, the biggest part of it was, why did it get that messed up in the first place? And it got that messed up in the first place because we went away from nature. Because like you said, in nature is the healing mechanism, but we're just disconnected. There's Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia. I told Ra when I saw Cynthia for the first time, I've never seen so much love in someone's eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, she just absolutely, those eyes are fixated with love. Yeah, if you get her on a bad day, it can be scary love.
Yeah, I mean, our eyes speak so much about us. I mean, our eyes is a reflection of our internal organs. So our eyes reflect our fascia, right? Our eyes carry all that information, all that light, everything that's happening within us. And you can see that in people. And when I saw Cynthia, I was like in love with her. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with her.
She's like, I've never seen eyes like that.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It's actually crazy because that's the first thing I noticed about her. But is the eyes, and then once they fixate on you, they're like, boom, they're fixated, and it's almost like you don't want to move. It's like, is it okay to move?
Yeah. That's what I felt. I felt that, and I was like, no, did you see her eyes?
Well, she even looked at like old videos of her where she's in the background, where she's not even the star of the video, but she's looking at people in the video. She's like, look at the way she's looking right now.
Actually, that's Jason, Cynthia, myself, and Aisha. We all play a role. And when it was just the three of us, there was the two charging a fire out there, and she would always stand between us and back. And you think about it, it's almost like a Roman in the chariot directing the fire, right? Because when we're out there pushing and using our fire to drive this mission, it needs that grounding, and she was always the grounding. She would ground the room, ground the people. And it's funny, we're gonna get her a shirt with a bib put on it, because everybody just goes up and cries on her chest, right? And slobbers. She comes out of an event and she looks like she's had a child there. She's been nursing with slobber everywhere.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Cynthia is amazing.
Yeah, you guys are perfect.
So
perfect together.
I'm really looking forward to to more travels with you guys. You are a part of our team, and you bring an element to our team that is greatly needed, which is that connection to the other side. You have a lot of information that allows people to bridge the gap, because I no longer even want to collect the information. I'm over here and I don't want to get too trapped in it, but people still need that logical process to move themselves, because I have a belief it needs evidence. And I can raise my belief with more evidence, but there's a point where it's faith. And that's where I like to operate in, is in this faith. And then when people want evidence, it's like, I'll show you evidence. No, but it's an important part of the journey for people, is to unwind, is to give them things that their mind can chew on so they can unravel from the programming that they have.
Yeah.
That's so true. And the evidence is so crude, it's laughable when compared to the experience, right? Because the experience is like, it's beyond words, it's beyond our measurement devices. And so going there offers benefit. Having faith offers tremendous benefit, rather than waiting for what is provable to you as truth, and then allowing yourself to witness based on the authority, what the authority told you is possible.
Do you find that in your own life? Do you find that actually it's like that? Do you find that you are in faith most of the time, or do you find that you're moving in and out between needing evidence and faith? Where do you sit?
Well, the only reason why the evidence is to validate the experience, right? So I was winning CrossFit competitions without working out. I was just going to the beach all day. And so I was in the experience, and then I had to go search, like, how is this possible? How am I able to beat these people that are working out from the time they get up to the time they go to sleep? What's the mechanism here? So for me, I experience first, and then look into possibly, you have your own thoughts on it, and that gives you a direction where you can look. And then I also research and read papers for the sake of teaching, because like you said, it's people like that. People receive it. So I can't always be speaking at my level of what I'm experiencing. You have to learn as a teacher to calibrate your message to the level of the people listening. And a lot of times, like you said, that comes, they start to listen. They're able to receive when you start the sentence with, there's a study that... Yeah. There's a study that, like, that's when they're able to receive. Yeah. And then there's certain people that are beyond that, and they know that if you're speaking something to them, then it must be the perfect divine moment for them to receive that information, right? And you can tell when somebody is in that awareness of self, where they can absorb the experience of reality that's coming through you, and you can really just unload and open up to people. So that's another benefit of being somebody who is in faith, who's in trust, is that the teachers and the mentors that you interact with are going to give you the real stuff. Yeah, they're going to be speaking to you at their true level, because most teachers are teaching at a level that is very low to their understanding. Yeah, I mean, we get that a lot in media, because it's like, how do I take care of my eczema? How do I deal with my shoulder? And I'm like, yeah, let me give you a tool that will help you bridge the gap. But at the end of it, it's the way you perceive and emote. It's your emotions and your perception. And that's what got you there. But people, they do need that binary. They need that binary way. They need those steps to get along through that journey first. Jay Makadu said synchronicity teaches so much faith. And I think that that's another practical way that people can kind of take what we're saying and integrate it into their life. If there's a lesson or a person or a message coming to you that is in sync with maybe what you were thinking about yesterday or this morning, or it has to do with the problem that you're currently facing, and you get the answer, try to integrate that without trying to determine whether it's true or false, because that's where you're just distracting what just came immediately to you in the perfect moment, and then you're going to go and analyze it and dissect it and critique it, because that's what we're taught to do in school. So if we can just take the things that we sense are in synchronicity with ourselves and absorb it, we can then roll. We're in the flow and we can feel life faster.
Awesome. So to finish off for today, Carolina, you spoke to my heart and had a message that I needed to hear. Namaste.
Aww. Thank you. Thank you so much for receiving my message. You know, all of us are suffering in silence to some degree. We're not walking outside and sharing, hey, I'm depressed. Hey, I have anger issues. Hey, I haven't pooped in a week. You know, like no one's going out there and sharing what they're going through, but everybody's recovering from something. And like I like to say, our voice is our medicine. It is an on frequency. It is, the voice is an extension of our heart, and somebody's waiting to receive your voice, your medicine. So sharing, it's key. Sharing is caring, and giving the gift of health and love forward is what Ra and I do for a living. So thank you so much for receiving. Thank you, Garry. This is amazing. I've been watching your lives. Actually, I got confused with the time zones, and so I was like, oh dang, I missed it. Okay, well I can watch the recording
on Monday. She was saying.
Yeah, we got it recorded. Thank you guys both. It's been a pleasure talking today. I love this. We're going to be here every Wednesday talking raw reality, bringing people a little closer to the esoteric side, the earth, and giving them some evidence to bridge those gaps. And if you haven't done it yet, follow Raw of Earth and follow Coach Carol. And you can Carol. Yeah, and we'll put that in. You guys actually put it in the feed again, okay?
I just posted something about a study about energy in the hands.
Yeah, it's on
our ability.
It's on our story right now.
Oh yeah,
go to our story.
That's an example of producing evidence for something that we already know to be true.
Okay, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Talk to you next week.
Bye, bye everyone.
Bye.
Adios.
That's fantastic. I mean, those conversations light me up. Guys, this has been one of the most powerful transitions for me. It was a transition from this city boy, evidence-based science, facts to nature. And if you go back in our social media, you'll find it. Like if you go about this time of year in 2020, you can scroll back and you can find it. And there's a message that I sent to Ra I knew he'd get it, because I just sent it to him via a reel that we did, and it's us climbing through this, climbing up the waterfall, but climbing through a bunch of trees to get into the waterfall. So if you go grab that message, if you go grab it, there's a lot of energy, because that was my turning point. That was literally the moment that I heard his message. And Ra came to me around 2019. 2018, 2019 at the Human Garage Clinic in Los Angeles. And at that time, I was like, this guy has a big following. He does all this weird stuff. You should get to know him. And I was watching, and this is right around the time that he was doing the butthole tanning, sunning video. And I'm like, wow, there's something about this guy. He's crazy, but there's something about him. And here we are, years later. He's part of our team, and expect to see more and more from him as we go. Thank you so much, Ra. Thanks you so much, Carolina.